Okay. Now it's going. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. I had to take a little break. And my cat's awake now. Don't worry, I didn't wake him up. I'm sure you all were very concerned. I'm sure some of you were thinking, Moshe, get a glass. Yeah, it's my house, my rules. Well, actually, it's not my house, but I pay rent, so. Anyway. Plus, it's my soda. So, yeah. Oh, you sleepy? You wanna go back to sleep, buddy? Oh, you're a sleepy kitty. Are you a sleepy kitty? All right, buddy, I'll leave you alone. I love him so much. I love you. I love you, buddy. Anyway. See, like, do you think that, like, look at me, do I seem like a type of person that would harm anybody ever? Look at how much I love my cat. How could I harm a person ever? How could you even think I would willingly harm an innocent person? Like, it's crazy what people believe. But here is the main subject of the video, which I'm sure everybody is probably irritated, but thanks for sticking with me because now we're going to get to it. Humanity's war against the maps. Odd title. Thank you. It was supposed to be. It's supposed to be intriguing. You know, let's talk about vampires. When I was a kid, I loved vampires. I was like obsessed with vampires. I don't know why, but like there was a period of my life, I don't know if it was like a year or a couple years, but I loved everything that had to do with vampires. Like on Purim, the Jewish holiday, where we dress up in costumes. Well, some adults do, but mostly it's for little kids. And for adults, the fun is to get drunk and have fun. For the kids, the fun is to dress up and have fun and play games and get prizes and do all this stuff for kids. It's a very kids-based celebration. Right. Oh, so I on Purim, I always liked dressing up as a vampire, which I now realize is not appropriate in retrospect because you're supposed to dress up as something kind of related to the story of Purim, maybe, or maybe like you dress up like a fireman, or I remember one year I dressed up as an IDF soldier. In fact, I even have a gas mask that went with the costume. If you guys wait a minute, I'll go see if I can find it real quick. Oh, you guys are in luck. I found it. It's an old World War I style gas mask. It was part of my IDF soldier costume. One Purim. And it's real. It's a real. It's not a gimmick. It's a real World War One, authentic World War One. I'm not necessarily saying that this was used in the war. If that were the case, they probably wouldn't sell it to people covered in chemicals. So, but no, but it's like the standard one that would have been the type that would have been issued to a soldier. See? And yeah, it's got the filter. And on the bottom, this part, I don't know where it is. There was like a canister that used to back then function as like a crude, by our standards today, a crude version of a filter. And I guess it worked well enough. Well, apparently not, because they had to develop better ones. But yeah, so that's my gas mask from it. And now I only use it to when I have kinky sex. So there you go. I'm joking. I don't do that. Not that I'd be ashamed if I did, but it's just that's not my thing. Anyway, um, but so yeah, I was obsessed with vampires, and I used to read like all kinds of stuff. I remember we had this book that I borrowed from the library like 5 times, and um, my mom. This was like right before the age of internet shopping. My mom's like, I wish there was a way to just order this book so we don't keep checking it out, so you can just read it at home all the time. We don't have to keep getting it out of the library. It was like this book, and it was like super colorful, and it had like all this stuff about like the real history of like where the legend of vampires comes from, and like all the different types of vampire myths around the world. It was really cool. And it was like heroin, you guys. It was just really cool. I just wish you guys would all come try it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And by the way, for the record, I've never done heroin. I've done morphine when I've been in the hospital, but that's not really doing it. Um, and you know what's crazy with morphine? It really does make you feel really good, and if you are in pain, it really it makes you, the way at least it works for me, it doesn't actually take the pain away. It just makes me so high that I just don't notice the pain. I still feel it, but I'm so high I just don't care. But I hate the after, because when I was in the hospital, it's actually been 1 year now. When I was in the hospital for the thing I had bleeding ulcers in my stomach. Um, and yeah, um, I lost focus. um, uh, yeah, I went to the hospital for that. And I don't know. Sorry, guys. I totally lost track. I had two different things in mind. All right. Well, I'm sorry. Let me get back to the main point of everything. So anyway, um, so I used to have this obsession with vampires, right? And I used to watch movies about them and all that stuff. Um, like Blade, when the trailer for Blade dropped, oh my god, I was obsessed until I saw it, which I think was like over a year until it came out. I was obsessed with this movie. I'd watch the trailer, like, there was a way to, like, we'd, like, record the trailer, like if it was, like, on, like, on the VHS before the movie we rented. That was, like, an old thing. People from the 90s know what I'm talking about. And, uh, if there was a trailer for Blade, I'd watch it like 5 times over and over. And eventually my dad'd be like, can we watch the actual movie now? And I remember one time I thought Blade had come out, and it turned out it was actually like Zorro, like the new Anthony Banderas new Zorro movie, and I was so crushed. Because I was so looking forward, because I thought that Blade was finally coming out. I actually cried. I was a little kid, okay? Give me some leniency here, okay? I was a little boy. I was like 9. Okay, so give me don't be all like, what a baby. I was 9, okay? I actually cried. I was so disappointed because I wanted to see Blade so bad because it looked so cool. It was about vampires that dress all sleek and like shoot guns and like fight bad vampires, and like it looked so freaking cool. I couldn't wait. I didn't even know that it was a comic book back then. Isn't that wild? I didn't even know. Oh my god, if I'd known, oh my god, I would have been obsessed with getting my hands on one. Oh god, I'd probably still have it today. Like, it'd be like one of my prized possessions. Um, Instead, one of my prized possessions is a gift I got from my brother of Superman, but if he were bi, or yeah, I guess if he were bi, and he falls in love with a boy, and he has a boyfriend instead of a girlfriend. Yeah, I know. It's like all the homophobes, their heads are about to explode. Why do they have to put it in everything? They're artists. It's popular. Let them do their thing. You don't own this country. God damn, chill out. Like that Arthur Quan Lee guy. Just smoke a blunt. Have a glass of wine. Just relax once in a while. God damn. Anyway, get a blowjob for God's sakes. I'm sorry, I know that's very crude, but just chill. God damn. Anyway, but one of the things that I had in my juvenile mind about vampires was I thought they were real because I didn't really understand the difference between like pseudoscientific bullshit and like real evidence and real research. So I would watch these like supernatural hunting shows and I thought they were real. I thought that these were real scientists who were actually legitimately discovering real life ghosts from dead people who lived in places for whatever reason. And it was very scientific, you guys. It was, oh my god, it was incredible because you know how they would know, you know how they would know if it was ghosts. It was very scientific. Let me show you guys what they do. This is what they would do. See, you guys, this is not just a podcast. It's a video. It's a whole show. Enjoy the visuals. Okay. They'd be like this. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a blue reading. I'm getting a blue reading. Exclusively blue. It's all blue. Yeah, it's all code blue. It's all clear. Oh, wait. Wait, I feel a cold spot. Wait. Oh my god. Wait. Oh my god. It's red. It's red. There's a ghost. There's a ghost. Oh my god. Get out of here. Oh my god, there's a ghost. That's basically what it was. It's a bunch of nonsense. Like one of the things that they talked about they would talk about is how there'd be like this thing that would like have elevated levels of detection of a certain, I don't know, some sort of thing, and they're like, oh, that could only be because of ghosts. But it actually turns out that a lot of the places they went to were by the ocean, which has heavy deposits of salt water, which would also make the same results. And surprisingly, those hauntings would only happen at those places where that would be a possibility, but never anywhere else. That's very interesting. But anyway, so, hi, buddy. Hi. Look, he's my buddy. Hi. You want to say hi? You want to say hi to people? Here, come here, buddy. Say hi. This is Muffin. Hi, Muffin. He's my best friend. My buddy. I love him so much. Anyway. Alright, buddy. It's still a little too early to feed you, okay? Give me like, let me finish the video, then I'll feed you, okay? It's still a little early for feeding you. Oh, and he jumps up on the counter. Good job, buddy. Okay. All right. Can I put my camera back, please? Thank you. All right. And he's back. Okay. There we go. Okay. Play for the cat. Oh, you're gonna take my seat? All right. So anyway, so because I was so impressionable, I thought that vampires were somehow real, and I was going to find out about them, and that I actually believed that I was going to become a scientist so that I could be the person to finally discover and prove to the world that vampires are real. I'm not joking. That was actually something as a kid that I was like, that's what I want to do when I grew up. And you know, people would humor me because I was a child, so people would go, oh, that's very interesting, even though we're like, should we fucking tell him? I'm sure my parents were like, no, come on, he's a kid. You know, let him enjoy the magic, you know? Like, don't fuck it up for him. He wants to be a little dumbass and go around and think that he's going to discover proof of mythological monsters that don't actually exist. Yes, just let him do it. He's a kid. It's like, what are you going to go up to a little kid, little 2-year-old, and go, Santa isn't real? Like, you're not going to fuck it up. You know, don't fuck things up for the kids. That's the whole point of being a kid. It's supposed to be magical. It's supposed to be silly and weird and crazy, and anything could feel possible. That's the whole point of being a kid, you know? That's the beauty and the magic in children. That's why children are so special, and why children are so precious and important, you know, is because they literally are the purest versions of ourselves. Which is a perfect segue, not planned, but perfectly come upon. Yes, hello, buddy. What do you want? I know what he wants, but I can't open the door. I'm doing a video. I'll open the door later, okay? You can look out the window. Here. He likes to look outside, but I can't open the door because even though there's the screen, it'll be noise and it'll mess with the audio. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So there you go, buddy. Yeah, see, look outside. It's the same. Okay, good boy. I love you. Yeah. Hi. Oh, I looked at him. Now he's gonna want to play. You're crazy. Don't bite me. Anyway, so so that leads really well into the next part of what we're gonna talk about. So obviously, vampires are not real, like the mythological, supernatural monsters who sleep in coffins and can't go into sunlight and can transform into bats and wolves at will and need to drink human blood for sustenance, which is really weird if you think about that, because vampires can't die unless they go in the sun or they get staked through the heart or whatever, right? So otherwise, though, they can't die because they live forever. That was part of the whole beauty, the dark beauty of Dracula, is that he lives forever missing his beloved. Like, he's an eternal creature. He can be killed, but he otherwise cannot naturally die. I guess he could have committed suicide if he really wanted. He could have just been like, you know what, I'm done with this. Just walked out into the sun one day. Just, I don't know. But the whole story behind it is that he was living forever, and therefore he was forever longing for his love. And so then Mina, in the book, he falls in love with Mina because she's like the spitting image of his dead bride, who he's been longing for centuries. That's the whole dark sort of beauty. That's why sometimes, oddly enough, you hear people say Dracula is a love story. They go, the story about the monster that drinks people's blood and sleeps in a coffin, that's a love story. But that when people say that about Dracula, that's what they mean. Ooh, I feel so literary talking about this. Anyway, but the thing is, a lot of in fact, again, not to belabor the point, but there was actually another video, and I've talked about it, by Arthur Quanley, actually exactly about vampires, and talking about I kind of I got inspired by that video actually to do the theme for this video. It's a video where he talks about, let's talk about the legend of vampires, and it's almost the same title, like vampires are real, but they're not what you thought, or whatever, or what. And of course, what do you? I'll give you guys one guess. What do you think What do you think it's about? Based on our anti-heroes track record, what do you think the whole video is about? Even he wants to know. He's like, what? What's it about? He's all excited. Yeah, you guys guessed it. How the Jews drink blood and that they're evil vampiric monster people. That's what it's about. This guy is fucking insane. I mean, I thought that kind of stupid trash was relegated to like white supremacists, like fucking like lonely racists living in their mom's basements, not getting a job, just fucking losers, and Hamas. I thought that shit was like relegated to like those extremes. I never would have thought that like a seemingly normal, and you know what? I hate him because he's a fucking anti-Semite, and he would hate me for saying this because he's extremely homophobic. But being that I'm a bi dude, he's kind of cute. But that's because I like Asians, so I like Asian guys. I like Asian girls too, but I'm really attracted to Asian guys, so I'm sure he'd hear that and be like, oh, this demonic, disgusting Jewish fag. Like, again, dude, chill the fuck out. Smoke a blunt, have a glass of wine, relax, god damn. Chill. But, so, and when, the reason this relates to what we were talking about before is that this is another example of how people tie this in, because in that video he talks about the blood libel and the dark magic and the demonic rituals and blah 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 blah, all this insane shit that he believes, and he talks about it, and all these anti-Semites talk about it, and it's all tied in, and it's really interesting because this is why it's so interesting. This is the most fascinating part about this. The thing is, and oh my god, I already know if some anti-Semite sees this video, they're just going to take this one little part and they're just going to play it on repeat to the entire world because they're going to go, see, this Jew admits it. But I'm going to tell you something. He's not entirely wrong. Which I already know, if there's anti-Semites out there watching this, they're about to explode. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe you just admitted it. Okay, but no. Everybody relax. Breathe. Take a hit of your vape or whatever the fuck you need to do. Chillax. And let's talk like calm, rational, normal people without emotions and wild, crazy, far-flung feelings, and let's just be calm and rational, okay? Alright. Now, I guess, here's the part you guys have all been waiting for. But you guys know with my videos, the main theme is going to have so much else connected to it. That's part of the fun. We're all learning something. I mean, I learn a lot when I look up this stuff and I read about it and I come in. Like, I don't just do this on the fly. I have done videos on the fly, but like, a lot of these videos, like, especially in the last few months, I put a lot of thought into this. I do notes, I do research on the stuff. I don't just do this like on the fly. Like these main topics, I really look into them. So I want you guys to know that it's not like, I'm not just like giving you guys like, you know, like a half-ass, like lazy, you know, no, I put in work when I look into this stuff. And because I want to, when I talk about this stuff, I want to make sure I'm talking about stuff that I know, that I've looked up, that to the best of my knowledge at the time and as of now, what I know is true based on everything I've read about and thought about, my experiences and all that stuff. Okay, so here's what it is. Here's what I'm getting at. Remember earlier we were talking about children and about how how we love them because they're so pure and innocent and everything is magical and beautiful to them, and you know, right? And they have that innocence, right? Well, imagine if there was a creature that existed in the world. Let's just imagine there was some sort of like monster. Let's just say there's a monster that exists in the world, and that monster has the power for some reason and the desire for some reason to find children and feed off of their innocence, off of the energy of their you know, I don't mean like literally like on a biochemical type level, I'm not saying that, but I mean psychologically, that they feed off of their purity and their beauty and their grace, you know, the wonderful things about being a kid. And that they feed off of that and they selfishly steal that from them. And then they destroy them. Not murdering them. Sometimes that does happen, but more often than not murdering them, but just stealing their innocence from them, stealing that sense of magic, stealing that whole feeling, that whole barrier that children have between this world, you know, the real hard, cold, harsh world with all its unending and unimaginable and unbelievable atrocities and horrors beyond imagination. But before they have to suffer and come into that, they get to live in this beautiful bubble of innocence and imagination. And then what could possibly be crueler and more vile, sick, and evil than some monster to come and vampirically, and I use that word intentionally, vampirically prey upon that innocence and steal it from them, and thereby in the process destroying their mind and crushing their sense of comfort and safety and security, and feeling that they can trust people, and feeling not scared and not having anxiety. And I mean, what happens after these monsters prey upon children is they wet the bed. They get, for no reason, they just randomly get nosebleeds. Sometimes they'll randomly just pass out for no reason. They'll just get dizzy, pass out. They suffer all kinds of physiological and obviously, of course, psychological damage. I mean, the monsters. It's like they drain, just like a vampire drains the blood from its victim. They drain that purity, that beauty from the children, and thereby in the process just again destroying them. And then they just move on to selfishly do it to another child. Now, here's the kicker. That kind of a monster actually exists in the real world. Yep. But it's not Jews. You fucking idiot. I swear to God, you're such a moron. It's not Jews. It's something that humanity has been living with, probably, very likely, forever. I've talked a little bit about this in other videos, and here I'm gonna get more into it. So first I'll just reiterate. I've talked about this before. Well, you know what? Let's pretend it's like a fresh topic for everybody, okay? Humanity, amongst humanity, human beings, you know how like vampires, they pretend to be human, you know? Again, this guy in his videos, he goes, Jews, they pretend they look like us and they act like they're human, but really they're demons or whatever. No, but, you know, so you know how vampires, pretend to be, or they look human, they masquerade as human, right? They trick all of us. In some movies, vampires are basically just humanoid creatures that can do supernatural stuff and have fangs and long nails, and they puncture their victims' necks with the fangs and drink their blood, and then if you're bit by a vampire, you turn into a vampire yourself, etc. Right. But the thing is, and in other depictions of vampires, they'll have things where they look human, but then they'll have their real vampire form, and they'll look kind of like, try to do a thumbnail of some pictures I put on Facebook as my advertisement for this episode, which shows some really scary vampire pictures, some drawings of vampires, that they may look more like that, like on a dime. They may flip and become, they're like, hi, how you doing? And then when they're ready to drink blood, they're like, ugh, and like they have tentacles and whatever, I don't know. Whatever version or depiction of vampires that you want, you want to depict. What? Are you hungry? Is that it? Are you waiting for food? Okay. Alright, guys. You know what? I guess, is it worth doing a part 3 and stopping in the middle? Do you guys mind if I feed him on cam? Is that weird? Alright, I'm gonna feed him on cam. But I'll just keep talking. Anyway. So, you know what? No, I can't focus that way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to do a part 3.